Good morning, Bachelor Nation. Who has slept? Who has not? I got a little bit, and this man is here to talk about last night's Bachelorette finale. Round of applause for Colton Underwood. Yes. Oh my gosh, everybody, I'm Lauren Zima. Of course, this is Roses and Rosé Live, and we are fresh off of a Bachelorette finale, the live after the final rose. And tonight, we have the Bachelor in Paradise premiere. So Colton, we are gonna dive into everything. I'm sure you guys have questions and comments for Colton. Leave them on our social media channels right now, and we will get them here on the iPad and get into it. And Colton, you have dressed for Paradise. I love this jacket.
Colorful flowers, but yet, you know, still out there.
Still out there. Yeah. I like it because it's a little bit like you might from afar think it's a rose. So you're both hitting on the finale and on Paradise, which we're going to do today.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so let's dive in to Bachelorette finale because, again, we're fresh off this. And by the way, you guys, ET, of course, spoke with Becca and Garrett this morning in New York. I could not fly out for that interview, but, of course, they submitted my questions to be asked. And we are going to have those interviews up for you at ETonline.com. And tonight on Entertainment Tonight, where we ask Becca and Garrett some questions that maybe they didn't get asked last night. You watched the finale, I'm sure.
Yes.
Sometimes people in Bachelor Nation watch together. Did you watch it with anybody? Where were you last night?
No, I was in my hotel room here. I just got off the plane from New York, so team no sleep. I'm right there with you. But yeah, I caught up with it.
Okay, he caught up with it. Your initial takeaways. You watch all 3 hours of it. What was your big takeaway from the night?
You know, the fact that Becca was so torn even all the way up until the moment. I think being on the season and seeing it in a different way and sort of the behind the scenes stuff is, you know, you always saw the connection with Blake. And then slowly you did see that connection with Garrett, you know, develop. And all at the same time, I'm trying to work on my connection. So it's like, it's an interesting take. But I would say, just like what Becca said, we all thought Blake was the front runner the whole entire time.
That's how you guys felt in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was wild when she was saying, and I felt some of those things she said felt so real that she was saying, you were so solid from day one. You know, Blake got the first one-on-one, which he was on the set of. And that she almost felt guilty having feelings for other people because she felt so solid about Blake. Yeah. Did you guys get that sense? I mean, was it that you felt she was holding back with you and thinking maybe it was because of her connection with Blake? You
know, when she said that, it resonated with me. It was like, that makes a lot of sense. Because there was times on group dates where if Blake was there, you could tell it was a different flow of a conversation. Just because, you know, I remember in Vegas, I went after Blake and I didn't get the same energy that I typically get. So
spoke to Becca after
Spoke to Becca right after Blake.
You didn't go after him, though you went after a few people in mental.
Yeah, no, I didn't go after Blake, but I went and had a conversation with Becca after Blake, and you could tell, like, you know, her level with Blake was just above everybody else's at that point.
Interesting. So I did get a little bit confused last night because Becca all season long has said, you know, she wanted a teammate, she wanted somebody 50-50, and she kind of said that about both guys. I don't know, there was a lot of talk about how Blake would be a perfect teammate for her, but then with Garrett she said we're 50-50. What do you think teammate meant to Becca? What was she really looking for?
I think she was looking for somebody that matches her goofiness, her silliness. And watching that back now, too, it's like, that makes so much sense.
Do you think that was Garrett's edge, that silliness? Because we didn't really see Blake be too silly, but sometimes we don't see everything.
Garrett's edge was just, Garrett was so authentic the whole entire season. He had no clue what he was getting himself into. He really didn't. He didn't know what the first impression rose was. And that's what makes Garrett so corny, goofy, special, and that's what makes, you know, him the total package for Becca. And watching that back, it was one of those, aha, okay, like now this all makes sense.
Interesting. So how did Garrett end up on the show? Sometimes family or friends
His brother submitted him. And I don't think he even committed to doing it until like the week before.
Wow, so he had not been a viewer.
No.
Interesting. Nope. Garrett didn't know what the first impression rose was, and then he got it. Okay, comments coming in. Sky from YouTube wants to know, who did you like the most on The Bachelorette? Who were you closest with from the show?
His name's Sky. Sky
could be a guy or a girl.
Sky could be a guy or a girl. Hi, Sky. What is up? My friends on the show that I keep in contact the most are Jason and Garrett. So those two guys I just grew really close with the whole entire season from day one.
So obviously last night, during the After the Final Rose, we had heard a statement from Garrett about all this Instagram stuff, the different memes that he liked on Instagram, but we heard him speak about it live for the first time, kind of in his own words out loud. What were you doing as his friend behind the scenes as all this was happening, as it was coming out? Were you having talks with him, and how was he feeling?
Yeah, I think the role that I wanted to play for him is I knew that Becca couldn't defend him publicly. Becca couldn't even be there to support like her guy, because by the
didn't
time
want to give
all
away
that,
too much.
yeah, you can't spoil anything. So just making sure he was in a good mental headspace, and I'm not justifying anything he did or like. He even admitted to me, he's like, this is a growing experience for me. He's like, I didn't expect this type of reaction. He really didn't know what he was getting himself into. And I think this is a good learning lesson for all the young adults and kids out there of what you do today is going to have an impression on your life in 5, 10, 15 years. What you put out, what you put your digital fingerprint on is going to follow you your whole life. And it's not right, and it's not something that I'm here to justify. But it's a mistake, right? You live and you learn. That's life. So he should not be crucified. I feel like we've made the point. He's made his statement, and we should move on and celebrate Garrett and Becca.
Well, one question I do still have, and as his friend, I guess I just want your insight on this, because the stuff that he did, like, some people found offensive, and it seemed like what Garrett kept saying was, well, I didn't know how much power a double tap had. I mean, what do you feel about his feelings on some of these things? He was liking memes where people were saying that school shooting victims are crisis actors, some anti-transgender stuff.
I think a lot of people read too much into you double tap something and you're attaching feelings to that. I think there's also a way when you scroll through that, and this is not me defending, but I know for me, sometimes I'm walking in the airport, I'm like, oh, quick double tap, swipe, subconsciously. Just I randomly do that. I don't think the meaning and the feelings were behind the double taps for Garrett.
So is Garrett the kind of guy who, because Becca is, she's a very independent woman, we've talked about this, she's really strong, is he the kind of guy to support a strong, independent, equal woman in a relationship?
Yeah, and I think that's why that relationship works so well, is because he's learning so much about himself and of her, and he respects her and her views so much that he's willing to grow and get out of his comfort zone, or get out of some of his, maybe where his head was at before, and continue to grow and get better as a person.
Was that hard for him? I would imagine it had to be difficult to be going through this critique, but not being able to say
I'm sure it was, but Garrett is an athlete too, and that was one thing he was good at. He's like, oh yeah, I know it's hard, I'm growing, and he sort of gave me the athlete runaround, of the like, oh, everything's okay, I'm fine, I'm going to do well. You could tell it was bugging him, because, he's at a moment of his life right now where he should be the happiest, and he's having to deal with a controversy and having to deal with this.
What kind of things do you think Becca is teaching him in their relationship?
Oh, everything, a lot. I mean, and it's the other way around. I'm sure Garrett is teaching Becca a lot of things too, and that's what a relationship's supposed to be like. You're always supposed to be challenging. You're always supposed to be pushing your partner.
Interesting. Do you think that Blake does have, because again, like I said, that's what I wondered, does Garrett have this silly side? Because Becca even said back with Ari, she was like, I love what a goofball he is. We could tell she was looking for a goofball.
Yeah.
Does Blake have a sillier side that we maybe didn't see? Did you know Blake well in the house?
He does, yeah, Blake does. The only reason I know Garrett and Jason a little bit more is because Blake was so emotionally invested into his relationship, and he kept to himself.
He was really in it, mentally in his head a little bit.
Which is okay. I mean, that's why you go on the show. But I was one of those that I was being very realistic about this, and this is life. If I'm here, I'm gonna get the full experience. I'm gonna develop a friendship with these guys. If I have to live with you and be in a house and date the same girl as you, I want to get to know you a little bit. And I didn't get that deep and on that level with Blake. But he's somebody you could tell who goes all in when he loves somebody, and I could respect that.
Who was Blake close with in the house?
Becca.
So sometimes people do, they go in there and they really are just focused on the relationship.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so Blake was focused. What do you think? Do you think Blake's going to be Bachelor?
I think there's a lot of
Or are you going to be
good.
Colton?
There's a lot of good candidates for Bachelor out there. I really do. I think everybody's so deserving of love, and we're all going to find it eventually. And whatever ABC decides to do is what they're going to do.
Okay. There's some good guys from this season.
There is.
More questions coming. Laura from YouTube just says, gotta give props to the guy in the jacket. She loves that you're wearing this jacket.
Who is that?
Laura.
Thank you, Laura, so much. I appreciate it.
Did we not get to see... Well, you know what you wore, Colton? You wore a lot of hoodies. I noticed it was a lot of a little hoodie moment.
That's an athlete, right?
It's an athlete. Now we're seeing this different, this stylish side of you. At Men Tell All, you were rocking a paisley print on your suit. So are you more of a fashion risk taker than we knew?
I am, yes. And one thing, I don't like collars. With my neck, I don't wear a lot of colors, so I love the t-shirt underneath the suit jacket look. And
that is your look.
That is sort of my thing.
Hey, it's good to have a thing. Courtney on YouTube wants to know, so you've experienced Bachelorette and Bachelor in Paradise now. How would you describe the similarities and the differences? Paradise
Great
premieres
question.
tonight on ABC, you guys. What are the similarities and differences for you, and which did you like more?
So, Courtney, I would say they are so different, but I knew that going in. I was expecting a little different. you know, they both were great experiences and experiences on their own. But I would say I had a lot of fun on the Bachelorette season. I really did. And then Bachelor in Paradise, it was a little more out of my comfort zone. But
How so?
it was just the environment that, you know, being constantly surrounded by relationships and constantly
Everybody's hooking up, everybody's making out.
well, it's not even that. It's just you watching other relationships grow right in front of you, and while you're trying to focus on your own, so you're trying to compare yourself. You know, it's like, well, why aren't we there yet? Or what am I doing wrong not to be in a relationship like them?
But
or,
on Bachelorette, you compare like her connection with the other guys.
you don't
right?
get to see it right in
It's
front
not
of your
as
face.
much in your face.
You don't see it in your face, and that's the difference.
So when you're talking about that, Colton, do you mean that Tia was having relationships with other people right in front of you, and that was difficult?
I mean, there was a lot of people having a lot of relationships in Paradise, and tonight you're going to get a lot of answers that you don't have answers to. I think The Bachelorette left a lot of questions for fans in regards to the whole Tia Colton story, and that plays out in Paradise.
We have seen you in the trailer, Colton. I mean, you are in tears.
Yeah.
You say that you didn't think you'd be affected this much. What are you referring to there? Give us a little hint of what's to come.
Yeah, I think it brought up a lot of emotions, and good, bad, happy, sad. Obviously, a lot of crying.
Is it a lot of crying? More than we see?
Prepare yourself.
Okay.
There's a lot of tears involved, and I have never really experienced that before. I wouldn't consider myself a big emotional crier, but a lot of things, you know, took place in Paradise that was very self-discovering of myself.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Did you and Tia... Actually, I think Tia told me you had not. You did not really speak between Bachelorette and Paradise.
We didn't. So there's a lot of tension going down on that beach. You're walking down, and it's like, I feel like she had, at the time, I feel like she had something to do with my relationship with Becca breaking up with me. And at the same time, it's like, well, then why didn't you reach out? You know, why are we not, like, what, I'm not reaching out to you. Like, what, it was sort of a stubborn game, right? It's, I'm not reaching out to you if you're not reaching out to me, one of those things. So a lot of tension built up over that time. And you'll see. You
were like having a standoff.
Yeah, it was sort of just, you know, don't cross this line.
Okay, so on Paradise, we're going to see the line get crossed. Heidi wants to know, what do you think was so unique about Becca compared to other Bachelorettes? I have to say, especially watching the finale and seeing how much Garrett cried, I mean, they both just seemed like they fell so hard for her. Yeah. What do you think was unique about Becca? Was it that she's so
authentic.
Likeable? Yeah.
She's so authentic. And she's goofy. That's the other thing is when you're around her, the cameras go away. And the experience of itself sort of fades. She's just so caught up. She's so engaging, and when she asks you a question, she genuinely wants the answer. And you don't feel that way a lot of times, especially nowadays. You know, people have their phones out, or they're just asking, you know, a question to contribute to the conversation just for the sake of the conversation. But for her, she wanted to know those answers. She was very engaging and very good at, you know, being herself.
Okay. Shireen is just saying that you're a sweetheart and a cutie. Hey,
thank you,
take a
Shireen.
compliment all day long.
Hi, Shireen. How are you?
Jessica is wondering, Colton, what was your favorite date with Becca? What was your favorite experience?
My
with
favorite
Becca?
one-on-one? I loved the conch date. I really did. Everybody was just like, oh, that's sort of weird. A lot of puns on that date. But you know, we had a blast, and I grew up scuba diving, snorkeling, being in the water. So it was right up my alley, right up her alley, Minnesota with all the lakes. So we just had a good day in the water on the boat, and you know, it was fun.
Well, Colton, I want to ask you, and I mean, again, there has been some discussion. Could Colton be the Bachelor? Could Wills be the Bachelor? Jason, Blake, those names have been thrown out there. And by the way, at ETonline.com, Chris Harrison breaks down for us literally every possible Bachelor candidate. So check out that interview, you guys, including Ben Higgins and Peter Krause. We're bringing some throwback choices in there. But if you were really looking at it,
yes,
do you think, especially after last night, Blake, Jason, you, like, tell us where your head's at about who could or should be the Bachelor.
Yeah, I said earlier, I think there's a lot of possibilities this year heading into The Bachelor of who could, you know, have that lead role. I know for me, we obviously have to get through Paradise first, but I had such an unbelievable experience on The Bachelorette that I would have to see where I'm at in my life, if I'm single, if I'm not, and analyze it from there. But I will tell you, my experiences with The Bachelor and Bachelorette franchise has been unbelievable. I know it can work, and I'm ready to find the love of my life. I'm ready to have a partner. I'm ready to, you know, have somebody to go do awesome things with. Like, that's what I want. I don't want to come, and my dog's great. It's nice to come home to Sniper every night, but I would love to come home to my wife and have a dinner, have a glass of wine, and go to bed.
Well, I guess we're going to see what happens in Paradise, Colton. We know the tears go down. I also want to ask you about an argument that comes up between a couple of your friends, Leo and Joe, apparently go head-to-head in Paradise. Would you have ever seen that coming? They both seemed pretty chill on Bachelorette, and then I guess they go at it a little bit from what we've seen in the trailer.
Yeah, you know, I got to know Leo, obviously, on our season, The Bachelorette, and then I slowly got to know Joe over Paradise. It was shocking because those is sort of out of their personality, but you'll see sort of what sparked that whole controversy and what sparked that engagement.
Leo's also been under a little bit of fire lately from one Miss Becca Martinez. Some accusations thrown his way. I don't want to get into that too much, but have you talked to him? How is he doing?
You know, in regards to that, I haven't.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
Bachelor Nation, there's just always something going on. So if you were going to kind of tease Paradise for us in a couple of words, what do you think we can expect from the premiere tonight?
Hot.
Oh.
Emotional. I'm going to go with steamy again.
Steamy.
Hot, steamy, and emotional.
I'm going to take the hot as like sexy, and the steamy is it's literally so humid there. It's
agreed.
Unbelievably hot down there.
Yeah.
Okay, Colton, well, anything else you can tell us about your arc on Paradise? Can you tell us if we'll see you for quite a bit of time this season?
I will say Paradise is full of surprises, and it was an unbelievable experience, and that I will probably be around for a little bit.
Okay.
Maybe. We'll see.
So you had some emotions you didn't expect to have.
Yeah, definitely.
Would you say you're happy with how it turned out?
Yeah, I have zero regrets. I like to try to live my life with no regrets. I know that's typically not possible, but you know, it's making me who I am in front of you today. So,
what can you tell us about how you feel about Tia today?
How I felt about Tia today? I have the same level of respect and love for Tia that I always have had.
Okay. All right, you guys. Well, Bachelor in Paradise premieres tonight on ABC. Again, of course, we just had the Bachelorette finale, and we're going to have a new interview with Becca and Garrett up at ETonline.com and tonight on Entertainment Tonight. And Colton, I also just want to find out from you. I know you do this great work with your Legacy Foundation. Yep. What is a way that people can get involved with that?
Visit our website, coltonslegacy.org. I'm actually getting ready to do an awesome fundraising over Labor Day. I am doing Lemonade for Legacy, and I'm encouraging kids around the U.S. to do lemonade stands and compete against each other and see who could raise the most money for the Legacy Foundation. Awesome, and that gives children with cystic fibrosis a fighting chance, yeah. Right now, we're doing the Legacy Project where I surprise someone with CF in every single state. So awesome. I'm at 6 states right now, and we got a lot more to go. A lot more to go. We got 44 to go, so let's do it. All right. Well, Colton is tireless. I know all of you Bachelor fans are tireless, especially after a 3-hour finale, and then buckle in for 2 hours of Paradise tonight. I'm really excited for this season of Paradise. From everything that I have seen, I'm excited for this year of Paradise. Yeah, I think really it's going to be. I think, you know, last season we had to get through the scandal and everything, and of course, no instance of wrongdoing was found there. But you guys, I talked to Chris Harrison about that and how he felt about coming back for season 5 and getting everybody in a good place about it. And it really seems like you guys, you threw down, you had some fun, and some things are going to go down this season. The most episodes of Paradise ever this season. Ever. And they're all great. Okay. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Have a great day. Of course, check out a new episode of Roses Rosé. It's going to be up soon, and we will have one recapping the Paradise premiere up for you tomorrow. Bye, guys.